I'm Leanne Pibworth, and I'm here today to investigate the thousands of children being subjected to forced adoption across the UK.
Save our children!
Save children!
So we're here today to try to establish why the central government are offering financial incentives of up to £500,000 to local councils for forced adoption targets. We are here today to meet with the parents who are standing together to expose the corruption of children's services, whose children have been forcibly adopted on the flimsiest of evidence. This so-called evidence that's being put forward to the judicial system is untried, untested, and it's being called punishment without crime. We're about to meet with Gary, a loving father whose children were forcibly adopted against he and his wife's will. He hasn't seen his children for a number of years, and shortly after the birth of his fifth child, his wife was imprisoned. Let's hear what Gary has to say.
Well, I've been involved in this field for the last 6 years. Since I got with my partner, I separated from my ex-partner. I was a single dad with 5 children, one of them severely disabled. And as soon as my partner moved in, she'd done a documentary called Don't Cap My Benefits years ago with Panorama. And I believe that we was targeted from then. She absconded from my local authority years before and went to Ireland to stop a child being taken off of her. And I think as soon as that she moved back into my local authority again, they thought, oh, she's back, we'll have her. But they couldn't really take her children without taking mine. So they got an interim care order, first of all, to take her children. And then she had a breakdown. And because she had a breakdown, they took my 5 children away from me as well. And she was pregnant at the time with our first baby together, which is, she was born July 2016, and the judge made a placement order for her to be placed for adoption.
So are you saying that social services became involved with your family? And can you speak about that process and what happened through that process?
I think it's all geared from day one. If they're targeting you and they want your children, they're going to achieve it anyway, by any means possible. And they do lie. They lie in court. And it has been said by Judge Mumby, or when he was president, that any social worker found to be lying should serve 5 years in prison. It's never happened. I think it's happened once in America.
And did you experience lies from social services in their reports? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, immensely, yeah. And I was given my children into my sole custody when I separated from my other ex in 2012. I was given a residence order for my children, and I was appropriate then. I was backed by CAFCAS and given my children into my sole care. It's just when I got together with my new partner that it became a problem.
What problem? What happened?
It was my partner's exes ringing up all the time, making allegations that the children weren't being looked after properly, which was, we had 30 or 40 Merlin calls, police coming to our address and they said everything's fine. And it was a combination of my partner breaking down and drinking alcohol, and when that was addressed, they said that there was an allegation from my other ex-partner from 2011 of rape, and I got acquitted in Crown Court but found guilty on findings in family court. But my other ex-partner was bipolar, and she wanted to try to get the children off of me, so she made a rape allegation. And she found a pair of underwear from when she was in a sexual relationship with me and presented them as the ones she wore on the night I supposedly raped her. But all the way through the family case in 2012, it was she's an incredible witness, and she's a liar, and she's a Walter Mitty character, wants, fantasist, and makes things up to try to get a reaction.
So where are those children now from that lady?
Well, my eldest two are 20 and 21 now, and they're living with my mum, who I've been alienated from by social services. My mum's been told that if she has anything to do with me, she can't see the younger children. And the younger children are all in foster care. I've got the severely disabled one that's in one placement, and two younger ones that are in another placement together. But I've been completely alienated from them. I've not seen them in 13 months now.
Well, that's a really long time. How does that feel not to have, to be able to have a relationship with your children? I mean, what's that like?
It's devastating. But the thing is, alienation is a crime. But social services are allowed to alienate parents from their children.
Hold on a second. You just said parental alienation is a crime. How do you know that?
Well, if I tried to alienate my children from their mother, she would have a case to take it to court for parental alienation. So why isn't there a case there as well for social services to be held responsible for alienating children against their parents?
So why do you not think that there is, sort of cases that are taken forward against social services in their, what would you describe it as, corruption or illegal, unlawful activity?
It's court corruption. I've been involved with a lot of judges and a lot of the judges in High Court, in the Royal Courts of Justice. And I believe the judges are facilitating this agenda.
But why would they do that?
Well, I believe that, the judges are appointed by on suggestion of the Prime Minister. So most of the judges now that are high up in the Royal Courts of Justice were appointed by, or suggested to become judges by Tony Blair. And they've worked their way through the system. And I've been involved with a terribly corrupt judge. And also, I've, as litigant in person, I've had multiple appeals refused. And you ain't got a chance. That's the problem. You have not got a chance in the court system. Because I believe the court system, they facilitate this agenda and feed the children into foster care and adoption to be abused. When you have a child adopted, you're never going to see that child again. As soon as the child is adopted, the birth parent loses all rights to contact with that child. Now, as I say, my little girl was with a lesbian couple. It is as if that lesbian couple made that child and gave birth to that child once they've been adopted. But we don't know if she's with these people. These people might just be set-ups to say, oh, your child's been adopted to this couple, and they might take a new child every 6 months.
Is there any money involved? Do they get paid for fostering and adopting?
Oh, it's a multi-billion-pound industry, adoption. And a lot of judges and high-up elites have got shares in adoption and fostering companies.
I also met with another loving mother called Leanne, who had her child forcibly adopted after she became the victim of domestic violence. Here, Leanne speaks about the gruelling process that she had to endure as the result of being a victim of domestic violence.
I've been through it myself. My 3-year-old's with the paternal gran, and I've got 2 more that are in foster care.
When did you first become involved with social services, or how did they become involved in your life from the beginning?
So it all started quite a few years back. My ex-husband, we had quite a violent relationship. So they become involved back then, but I left him, so they closed the case. Then the baby's dad, I wouldn't say that was a real violent relationship until one incident happened, which is then why they become involved and remove the baby.
Sorry, did you just tell me that you were a victim of domestic violence?
Yes. I was.
And that's when the social services became involved.
Yeah.
And what happened?
They come and done an assessment. I was suffering from postnatal depression at the time. I went back to the perpetrator because the baby was there, which they then used against me because they said I wasn't prioritising the baby. But, you know, it's a known fact. If they learnt about domestic violence a bit more, it's a known fact that the victim will go back to the perpetrator so many times because that's all they know, and they're being manipulated. So to them, it doesn't matter what anyone else says, that their true belief is in that perpetrator. You know, you believe in that, oh, I'm sorry what I done, I won't do it again. So yeah, I ended up going back. Then they made me sign the baby over under a Section 20 to my mum. And then because they said that would keep it out of court. And then as soon as I signed that Section 20, that was it, they went straight to court. That's how corrupt they are.
Sorry, what's Section 20?
A Section 20 is a voluntary, you voluntarily sign the baby to someone so as she's out of my care while they carried on doing assessments.
Okay, so your child was removed at what age?
She was 18 months then. So she went to my mum. She was with my mum for a whole year and she was supposed to stay with my mum. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Hampshire Social Services decided that they were going to uproot her and give her to the paternal gran. So they've completely messed my baby's head up. She don't know whether she's coming or going. And then they decided that they were going to give her to the perpetrator's mum instead of leaving her with my mum. So now I'm here, no children because of him. I've seen my baby in the last, she's 3 now. So in the last year and a half, altogether, I've probably seen her for about 30 hours in about a year and a half. I was seeing her for like an hour a week. That's it. She's calling for me, mummy, mummy, screaming when they used to take her away after I'd seen her. Please, mummy, mummy.
How has that impacted on your mental health?
It's made it worse. It's made it worse. I've never felt so depressed in all my life. I've struggled really bad with my mental health. There's nothing else could hurt me as much as what all this has hurt me. You know, from start until now, is all I needed was some support. You know, that's all I needed was a little bit of support. The children didn't need to be removed, you know.
Would you give any advice to any other mothers going through this process?
The advice I would give, unfortunately, is if you are suffering mental health or any problems, do not tell social services. If they come into your life, tell them everything's fine and wave them off goodbye, because all they're looking for is to take your children off of you.
But why would they do that? Why do you think?
I don't get it. I'm still obviously looking into it myself, but I know they get a lot of money. They get a hell of a lot of money for adoptions, even an SGO, which is what my daughter got given to the paternal gran on, an SGO, a special guardianship order. They even get money for that. You know, it's just all corrupt. It's all money. It's all corrupt. They can't keep getting away with what they're getting away with. It can't keep happening. These poor children are suffering. My children in foster care are crying on the phone to me every day. You know, mummy, please, when can we come home and all that? And I've done everything social services asked me to do. For 18 months, I turned my whole life around to get my baby back. And all along, I got told, if you do this, I jumped through every hoop going. Didn't make any difference. Didn't make any difference.
Of your human existence.
Well, you know, lucky enough, I am quite a strong person. You know, I have tried my hardest. I mean, I've luckily enough, I had my eldest daughter stay with me throughout the whole of this process. She's 17 now. So, you know, we've kind of kept it. Obviously, she's gone through it as well. So we've kind of kept each other going. It hasn't been easy. I didn't work for a good while because of my depression. I've recently gone back to work and kind of getting back on track. Yeah. And services, something needs to be done about it. They can't keep getting away with what they're getting away with. It can't keep happening. These poor children are suffering. My children in foster care are crying on the phone to me every day. You know, mummy, please, when can we come home and all that? And I've done everything social services asked me to do. For 18 months, I turned my whole life around to get my baby back.
I also had a chat with Billy, who describes the harrowing process he went through, having his child forcibly adopted because he reported PTSD. Billy comes across as a loving father, exceptionally broken by what he would describe as mental torture. Let's hear what he has to say.
My life got exposed to social services, and I couldn't believe when they wrote reports, how the reports were written and how it actually looked like I was reading about somebody else. That then made me look into like forced adoption groups and social services groups, like support groups, and I started looking into that kind of stuff there, basically because I like a lot of people couldn't believe that a social worker could be telling lies when they're writing a report. I like a lot of people couldn't believe none of that.
So what kind of lies are we talking about here?
Well, I mentioned a cousin of mine, killer, he was sentenced, and I was asked, do I drink alcohol and all that. I don't drink alcohol. I can tell you the last 2 times I've drunk alcohol, one was the day my little girl was born, and the other was at Christmas. And then before that was the day my cousin's killer, who was sentenced to 25 years. He was sentenced to 25 years. That was after I see the CCTV video of my cousin being murdered. When I see the CCTV video, I didn't drink at the time. I don't really like to drink, but that day my friend said to me, he said, come out and have a drink. Well, I've admitted this to a social worker. He wrote me up as an alcohol dependent. That is one of the lies. I'm an alcohol dependent. I talked about drugs misuse between the ages 18 and 20. When I come into social services come into my life, I was 40 years of age. I spoke about drugs with a psychiatrist when I was trying to get help with post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'm being diagnosed with. They've used that against me as well. Yeah, basically, when it comes to what they've come out with about the drugs misuse and stuff like that, they wrote me up like I'm still currently using. I was clean for 20 years before they basically before they come into my life. I was clean for 20 years. The psychiatrist that wrote the report had written that in the report, but however they picked out of the report the bit that I used drugs between the 18 and 20, but talk about it like it's currently now. So I'm painted as a drug user and an alcoholic. I don't drink and I don't take drugs. I've also got a bit of a troubled past. I didn't get on with the police. I've got post-traumatic stress disorder. I've had a few fights with the police because threatening situations, my back gets up, and I've had fights with the police. End of the day, this was all free. The last time it happened was 3 years before my missus was even pregnant with my little girl. 3 years.
So how old was your child when he or she was taken?
6 days old. 6 days old. She was taken in to foster care. Her mother was taken into her mother was taken into foster care with her. Whereas a living foster care, like adults going into the foster care placement to look after the child and help raise the child, and it builds a bond with the mum and the child. I grew up without a father. I'm 41 years of age now. I have never met my father, okay, and it's left me lost. It's left me lost, but it gave me a purpose. I didn't have a purpose in life, and my little girl come along, and I've gone from wanting to take my life because of the PTSD, because that's how it's got to me. I wanted to take my life all the time because I'd come out of a episode, I call them episodes. I'd come out of an episode of night terrors, and in my night terrors, I suffer with violent dreams. You know, I'm not going to go into graphic detail for you, but I suffer with violent dreams, and on a number of times, I've tried to take my own life because I can't deal with it. Well, since I found out I was going to be a dad, that all changed for me, because it wasn't me anymore that's the important one. It's my little girl that's the important, well, my child at the time, because I didn't know it was going to be a little girl, is the important one.
Any person in this community, you will stand for your children. Why are we accepting what they are doing to our children? Why? Why are we accepting it? Why are we accepting what they do to the children?
I get a notification, social services want us to come in for a chat. I thought, okay, we're going and have a chat. They obviously got a reason to talk to us. Any time I tried to talk to him about my life or anything like that, he wasn't interested in what I was talking about. All he kept telling me every 2 minutes is, we are not interested in what you've got to say, we're interested in your child. To me, I didn't think that was a problem, because obviously that's the reason I'm there, you're asking me. Well, my missus wasn't even 2 months pregnant, and they was already aiming for our child.
So who referred you? Did somebody refer you to them or?
Midwifery.
Right, and what did they say?
Midwifery, basically what they do is they do the multi-agency, they send out to multi-agency to get any information back on us. That could be psychiatrists, that could be anything. I've got a bit of a past where I've been in trouble. I've had fights with the police. I've done a number of prison sentences growing up. That is how I've grown up. It's an unfortunate thing. I can't take back all the years that I've wasted. I can't take back the hurt that I've brought upon people. I can't change what we've done.
So were you hoping to become the better father that you never had? And
Yes.
What were some of the things that you were looking forward to most about becoming a father and raising a child?
Well, things that I've missed is I never went to a football match with my father. I never shared my first pint in a pub at 18 years of age with my father. I've never had that. I never had my father on the sidelines when I was playing rugby or football, or when I was boxing. I've never had no support from my father. I've never known my father. Still to this day, I don't know what my father looks like. It scares me because that means all these children that are growing up in care, right, or growing up without seeing their family that have been adopted, their biological family, when they come to the age, they'll think they wasn't wanted. Same as me, I feel like I wasn't wanted. I'm 41 years of age, and I don't even know who to look at on a picture. I've never seen a photograph or nothing. Same as a lot of these children that are growing up in adoption places will not ever see pictures of their parents. At the end of the day, nobody can step into a real parent's shoes. No court order in the land, as far as I'm concerned, makes someone more of a parent than a biological parent, because no one can love a child the way a biological parent can love their child. The crystal ball method is what we use amongst the social services groups that we run. They use this as a risk tool to steal children. This has been going on since 2002 when the law was passed, the account of probability. That gives them the right then to remove a child on the pure suggestion of emotional harm. In 2001, it was 5,000 children that was placed for forced adoption. In 2002, after Tony Blair not only legalised about the future emotional harm removal, he also legalised same-sex couples to adopt children. Okay, so like two men that can't have children, they might opt for that. Two females in a relationship, they might go for surrogacy. I believe there's a part of the market that needed to be filled. Within a year, it's gone from 5,000 to 10,500, so it's over doubled. We're now in 2021. I would hate to know how many children each year are being adopted right this second. Makes me angry. Anger's not the word. Anger doesn't even describe how I feel, right? I feel numb. I feel very numb. I do feel very numb with what they put us through. I feel so angry. It's like when I'm sitting there some nights and I'm having to comfort my other half, and she's looking at photographs of our little girl, and I have to sit there and watch her break down. And I can't shed a tear because I have to stay strong for her.
It's not me they're talking about. Where's this come from? They like to copy and paste reports. They like to do everything. Why are they doing this? Why would a human being get up in the morning, hold their socks on, and know full well they're going to go and tell lies?
Social workers, they try to say it's up to the family court. Okay? Well, the family court never tend to go against a social worker's report or the guardians. I found that in my daughter's case. In my daughter's case, one of the guardians is not a CAFCAS worker. He's actually I think it's a chief director of my local authority. So basically, he's higher up in the team than the social workers, writing a report as a guardian for my child. He's supposed to be independent. However, his evidence still stands. He's never even met my child. He's never even met my missus. He's never even met me. He's wrote his report of other people's reports, and the other people's reports are the social workers. And family court judges don't go against them. To be honest with you, a lot of it is down to the social workers.
And what would your message be to the social services?
Stop using emotional harm, future risk of emotional harm to take somebody's child. None of us have got a crystal ball, and none of us have got the psychic abilities to turn around and say, do you know what, that's going to happen. Same as you can't prove that the emotional harm will happen. Just because someone's grown up in care, a lot of the time, this is something else that I've actually learnt about. Someone might have grown up in care. Well, because they don't have a good family background, that makes them in a weaker position, and it makes them come up above the surface because they're a previous care leaver. That then gives them the right to start investigating and start looking at removing the child. That shouldn't be happening.
I keep myself strong all the time for other people. I find it hard, mate. I have to do it every day to stay strong for other people. But it's my little girl that's important for me. All these children that are important, but to me, in my whole life, is my little girl. That was my chance to change in my life, my reason to turn everything round and make something better for myself.
So I caught up with Billy after the protest to find out how things were going for him. Billy described that his Facebook account had been completely disabled, causing him to lose a number of his support network. Billy is adamant that the connection between parents who've had their children forcibly adopted should continue to seek comfort from each other. But when the Facebook groups are closed down, that means that people are divided and they just don't have anywhere to go. Ahmed came and had a chat with me to describe the process that he went through after coming to the country for a better life with his wife, only to have his children forcibly adopted out. He hasn't seen his children for a number of years, and as you can see, this man is completely distraught by what he's been through and what he continues to face, known as parental alienation.
They lied to the judge. They destroyed my family. They hiding my children, which is, I believe that it has been kidnapped, because I never ever heard from my 3 beautiful children. I don't know what's going on in this country. Yeah.
And what was the process like? Can I ask why you came to the attention of social services? Did somebody report to you, and how did they get involved in your family life?
Oh, it's good. To be honest, I had a problem with my ex-family, sister and her family, fathers. They hold our money. My brother, I've got very wealthy family in my country. They send it to helping our life because I have got a special needs child. They want to help with us. I've got a very good family. They helped me.
And when you were going through the process of being investigated by social services, how did you find that?
Very difficult, because at the beginning when we had the argument, I just told her, please don't shout, if not go out. She just went out, going to neighbor. I rang it to the police, but they didn't take my phone call. They didn't take my phone call. And they rang it, they said domestic violence. After police tried to do everything, they said, no, that's false allegation. No further action. Believe me, because they couldn't find, they never ever will find anything, because I never ever did anything, yeah. But today, I know the most of the false statements, it is by the social worker. I know the social services plan. They have two plans, Plan A and Plan B. In Plan A, they remove the father just by the fake right called talking about they helping the woman. They not, because many women's mothers, yeah, is now they lost the children. Why? If they helping the woman, and then they use same evidence what the father using against the mother, and then they will take the children to the foster care. That's all they want. Social service, in my belief, they are an invisible machine. If they put the angel through this machine, the devil will come out. It isn't their fault. Now they alienated the children. I'm sure they alienated my children, because at least I should have a contact. Law is for a human. Human is not for a law. Believe me, it doesn't make a sense. If tomorrow I'm dying, what does it mean power? Do you know, what does it mean government? What does it mean law? It's nothing. If the children's life is going to rubbish, what does it mean?
Do you ever have any nightmares at night time about your children?
Oh my God, believe me, more than 200 times, yeah, you know, if I'm sleeping and waking up, I get dream with them all the time, because I know they think about me. I know, because I've given a lot of love to my children. Believe me, every day they come to in my bag, they say, Daddy, I like a horsey. 3 children. I did everything for them, to be honest.
Which they then used against me because they said I wasn't prioritising the baby. But, you know, it's a known fact. If they learnt about domestic violence a bit more, it's a known fact that the victim will go back to the perpetrator so many times because that's all they know. And they're being manipulated. So to them, it doesn't matter what anyone else says, that their true belief is in that perpetrator. You know, you believe in that, oh, I'm sorry what I done, I won't do it again. So yeah, I ended up going back. Then they made me sign the baby over under a Section 20 to my mum. And then because they said that would keep it out of court. And then as soon as I signed that Section 20, that was it, they went straight to court. That's how corrupt they are.
Sorry, what section? I'm just going to read you an article that The Telegraph published back in 2008 by a journalist named Ben Leapman. It says here, Hammersmith and Fulham Council in West London was paid £500,000 as a result for placing more than 100 children for adoption in 3 years. The council is the first to acknowledge publicly a payout under this target scheme. It said that its social workers had pulled out all the stops and cut down on the amount of bureaucracy to boost their numbers. A spokesman for the Tory-controlled council said nearly all of these children were adopted compulsory through the courts. In each of these cases, the courts decided that adoption was the right thing for the child. So here we can see quite evidently that there seems to be a price on the head of every child going through this system of forced adoption. This can't be right. We need to challenge this now. I also got in touch with a man named Ian Josephs, now resident in Monaco, France. I'm just going to read some statistics, shocking actually, that claim that every time a child is forcibly adopted, a lot of money is generated. The cost of one child being £32,000, 2 children £51,000, 3 children £70,000, 4 children £80,000. Now there's a whole lot of data that I'm looking at here right now that suggests what we thought and what the parents are telling us, that they feel that their children were taken because there was a price on their heads. End. All right, and then...
Okay, so cameras rolling.
Okay. Ian Josephs begs the question, can this really be happening in the United Kingdom? He says here on his website, forced adoptions, secret family courts, babies snatched at birth for future risk, protesting parents jailed if named online, children in care gagged and isolated, free speech suppressed. So I'm just looking at a range of other resources here on my laptop. You know, I'm looking at possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of various different high-profile reporters, journalists, research papers, human trafficking, charities. And I just can't believe that this is still going on in the UK, that there doesn't seem to have been any real change at all. So in conclusion to our documentary, these parents are crying out for their children back, number one, of course. But number two, they're standing up to a completely broken system in the UK of social services, and they're asking for a reform. This system needs reform. We need to bring in accountability and justice. We need to test what the social workers are saying about these people. You know, in a court of law, you'd have to be you're innocent until proven guilty. These parents need to be able to access the same level of justice that a criminal would have to go through before their children are removed. Social services seem to be taking children from parents on the flimsiest of reasons. These reasons are not actually constituting as evidence. It's not a tried and tested system, and it's absolutely barbaric, and it has to stop. I'm Leanne Pibworth. Thank you for your time. In the secret courts, there's no accountability, and once a judge is enthroned, you know, there is no way to challenge.
2008, he kicked it all off, and I believe they're to do with procuring children.
Did you try to actively campaign against this, or did you just support parents?
I certainly support it.
It's not on a street. I don't get my basic rights.
And this particular researcher is saying that it's, you know, the white children with blue eyes. But what I'd like to find out is what portion of children are being taken from other ethnic groups, because a lot of people come here for a new life. And they have their children removed on false grounds, such as mental health or, you know, whatever it is. you know, and they've never committed a crime in their life, but yet the police are forcibly removing their children.
Well, the police are very feeble. They just do what they're told. I mean, there's a lot wrong with the police. As we all know.
Took my time to collaborate and help to produce.
We're going to do that, get the statistics and we want to take that little bit on.
Oh no, hang on 1 second.
10 minutes, but this is just a basic overview.
I made all of yeah, definitely.
Tony Blair brought in the proper future of probability. In other words, something that possibly can happen. But that's like saying, don't get on that train and go to the next station, because that train will crash. That train will crash. Don't get on that train. You'll look at me and say, I'm a complete madman. Okay? So if you're looking at me thinking I'm a madman, so what is this trained professionals actually saying, using the crystal ball, what we refer to as the crystal ball technique? Future emotional harm. Ask yourself this. There's no evidence of any future emotional harm, okay? Because it hasn't happened yet. But however, social services can use that as a risk tool to come and take your child. They use that same risk tool, right? Every day, 24 hours a day, they're taking children. What? The last I know was 1 every 20 minutes, right? Ask yourself why. Why did it go from 5,000 children in 2001 to the following year in 2002, after Tony Blair passed the bill of future emotional harm, it went up to 10,500. I'm sorry to tell every single one of you, that number is still growing. We're all here today because we're all victims, and our children are victims to what these people have done. These people are not here to save your children. I'll tell you what they do. While this lockdown's been going on, they will not answer the phones to you when you try to work with them. They tell you to work with you. They push the goals even further. This is what they do.
Phil, I'm just going to change direction. Carry on talking.
I know of people that go to foster care placements. They've moved in as fully grown. They get the bond with the child and they take the child. They take the child after 11 months. They take the child. I know this very well because I'm involved with that child that they've taken after 11 months of the mother jumping through hoops. That is the very reason I stand before you today. That is the very reason that I've got to meet all these people. That is the very reason I do what I do. We are here to make a difference. We want to raise awareness today about what is really going on. No children are safe. When it comes to social services, they are not safe because your child is worth money. If you can place a child and earn 32,000 for the child, it's obvious why they do what they do. That's why some of them are living in houses, they're on £35,000 a year and they're living in houses that are worth £1 million. How can a social worker afford a house that's worth £1 million and they're on 35 grand a year? The numbers don't add up to me. The biggest form of child trafficking is happening in the UK today, and it is social services behind it. That is what is really going on in the UK. They are stealing our children 1 every 20 minutes. When is everyone going to wake up in the UK? Until it happens to them, then it's too late. And when it happens to you and it's too late, you will not go through one of the most painful experiences you're going through. Grieving for a child that is not dead. You're grieving for your child that is not dead, and you don't know how to feel. Your partner's falling to pieces. You're trying to comfort them, but you don't know what to say because you're going through it too. That is why we're here today, because we've had enough. Today, Storm London is about storming London to show and raise awareness about what it's about. Social services are stealing children. They supply the elite. These very people behind me are involved with. Right? It's all to do with the satanic ritual abuse. Masons, not one human being, if they've got no bit of moral decency, would be happy with any abuse that has happened to a child. This is why we're here. This is why we're all united. We're here again next month. We're going to be here the month afterwards, and I'm going to still be doing the same in 10 years until we get this changed. Future emotional harm, they don't even have to be proven harm to a child, and they can steal your child. Parents up and down the UK, grandparents, cousins, brothers, sisters, this is why we are on this very pavement today, standing here to raise the awareness, because too many people are frightened to talk out about what they are doing to us. Too many people are scared. Too many people don't want to come forward and say it's happened to me. But you know what? I took the first step today. I put my foot on the pavement for you people that are too scared. Please join me. Join us tomorrow. We're back out again tomorrow. Please join us on April the 24th. Please join us. Please join us next month. The date's still waiting to be arranged. The more the merrier. There's so many parents up and down the UK. If you really knew what was going on, you wouldn't be happy with it. Who is happy with any form of abuse of a child? When children are being taken, but I'm going to name a company here, Caritas Care Limited. It's up in Manchester. It's up in the north of England. What they tend to do with Lancashire Social Services, Manchester Social Services, they adopt children through Caritas Care Limited. Caritas Care Limited are now selling the babies to a place in Qatar. The very hospital is Sidra. There's evidence to prove this. There's been death threats on people that are ready to expose this. You can threaten to kill me if you want, you will not shut me up. I will stand here. There's nothing in this world other than a tube of super glue that will keep me quiet. I'm here for every child up and down the UK. Some people are probably looking and thinking this won't happen to me. These parents must have abused a child or something like that. I'll put my hand on my heart. I've never abused a child. I wouldn't abuse a child. I would stand and defend any child that needs to be defended. The very reason I'm on this pavement today.
Yeah.
Sitting over there on the wall over there, look. Hello people up in London, up and down the UK as well that are watching these videos on live. We are here. What's the matter, mate?
I'm not saying you can't do what you do, but you can't use amplified sound in the square. It's actually illegal to use amplified sound. You can use your voice, but you can't use amplified sound. Okay?
That's illegal now, yeah?
That's legal to public speaking. Any amplified
That's legal to public speaking.
in Parliament Square.
So if we stand over there, we can?
No, it goes down to Whitehall, it goes down to...
So you're not really...
What's going on amongst what they are employing people that is coming out of the employment. Their employment, pardon me, sorry, we'll dry mouth again. Basically, they know what is going on, right? It's £32,000 for a single placement of a child to be placed for adoption. That's not right. How can it be financially attractive for a social worker to tell lies and pull on their shoes and socks in the morning and think, you know what, today I will destroy a family? I will remove a child from a loving home. I will tell lies to take that child. I don't care. As long as my house is paid for. I know of social workers that are living in £1 million houses. Okay? From 35 grand a year, and they live in a £1 million house. How can they afford a £1 million house? No one. I can't afford a £1 million house, and I earn over 35,000 a year. I'm a builder. I can earn over 35,000 a year. I can't afford the houses that these people can afford. They work low hours. They're on very high pay. The very reason we are standing here today, because we've had enough of what they are really doing to every innocent human being up and down the UK nation. We are the only country in Europe that allows forced adoption. When I say country, I'm going to talk about the whole of the UK. Okay? Forget about the borders. Okay? In Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, there's forced adoption going on. We are here today to make a difference. We're here to make a change. The more people that get their boots on every month and join us, the more we got a chance of making it change. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to come and talk. As you can see, I'm talking, right? And where I am now, we have police not far from me.